Starting point is the Facebook Ads Manager, and what we're going to be going through here is not only setting up the ad, but setting up the automation that goes along behind the scenes so that these leads get followed up with instantly, because it's not just about generating a ton of leads that are going to be worthless. Generating leads is the easy part, but generating quality leads is where the rubber meets the road. And we're going to show you what that system looks like when we set up these ads for companies, but you can go ahead and turn and set them up yourself. So the very first thing that you're going to do is click on create, the create button inside of the Facebook Ads Manager. For these type of ads, we're going to go with a lead specific ad, and this is the objective that you want to choose. From here, I like to choose manual setup just because it gives us a bunch of control over the settings that Facebook has, and it doesn't allow the system to kind of just pick whatever random thing it feels like. So one thing that you'll note here is that we have an ad structure that's already been built out. We have a campaign level, the ad set level, and the ad level. Now, unless you have a really large budget, I would turn off Advantage Budget because it's not something that we normally see at the local level. We want to give this a name that actually makes sense, and that's probably about as much as you want to go here with these contractor home service leads. You don't need to do anything else at the campaign level. Next thing you're going to do is click on the new ad set level here, and this is where we're going to start to promote our settings. This is where we're going to start to add our targeting, our budgeting, and a few other features that are going to help us narrow down who we want to get in front of. Very first thing here is going to be the conversion. Where do we want this conversion location to happen? In our case, since I chose leads, I want there to be an instant form because I want people to fill out a form and give me a few more details: phone numbers, names, email addresses. I even want to create questions that are going to pre-qualify them and ask them to tell us more about what their projects are, etc. Once you have that, you're going to come down to the budget and scheduling section. This is where you're going to plug in your daily budget. I don't suggest, there's a couple options in here, lifetime and daily budget. We typically do not use lifetime budget. Daily budget is going to be the standard here because it allows us to grow as we identify ads that are winning. So plug in your budget in here where it says daily budget, and then scroll down to the audience control section. From the audience control section, what you're going to do is plug in your service area. Now, this is something that's going to be interesting and very different for you depending on where you're at in the country and where you're at in a specific major city and the things that you want to target. So for example, I'm in Houston, and if I was running this for my own company, I would not target the entire city of Houston unless I have capacity to cover one end of the city and the next. Typically, you want to stay within counties, within suburbs, and within a specific geographical area. So what you need to do here is plug in your service area, wherever that service area is or where you want to pull leads from. This is where this is what needs to be plugged in here in this search in this location section. Next, you're going to be picking your minimum age according to who's going to be purchasing your products and services in here, and languages are going to be important. A lot of times what we get is we want to avoid people that are going to be asking for employment and those kind of things, and so we want to stick with English language usually 99% of the time, unless you're in like a Spanish market or some other foreign language speaking market. Then choose your language accordingly, but this is probably all that I'm going to do here. As for custom audiences, I'm going to leave that alone. Everything else is going to be left exactly the way it is. That's going to bring us down to the placement section in here, and I know that Facebook introduced this advanced placement option, but we actually go in here and we choose manual placements instead of the placement options, because what we want is total control of where our ad's going to go so that we know what's working and what isn't working. Now, inside of the advanced placement section in here, there's a few placements that I kind of split up, and number one is going to be Instagram and audience networks. I shut those off. Now, if you are an Instagram account holder and you want to run Instagram ads, I suggest you replicate this process and only pick Instagram for that specific ad set. I don't think you should run them together. That way it allows you to really see what's performing and what isn't performing. From here, you're just going to go and pick the placements that you want your ad to show up in. I typically undo a few others, like video in stream. We undo video reels. We uncheck unless we're running specific reel type content, and I uncheck Instagram search, etc. Once you have this, you are going to go to the lead ad section where you will be creating your actual ad. So the very first thing is under Add Creative. You're going to get to choose whether you want to add a video or an image in your ad. And I'll tell you right now, what's working really well for home service companies and for service contractors is personal type stuff, like a personal approach. So if you are the owner of the business, you want to put your face out there, images of you and your crews, images of you and your family, images of you in front of the work's behind you, images that portray a little bit of trust, things that look real, that look organic, nothing that appears to be photoshopped or professionally altered at some point, and videos of the entire process as well. So in this case, I'm just going to use this as an example and plug in, a video in here. This is kind of a video for a pool company. So let's just say that this is what I'm going to be using here. I'm going to choose my video and it's going to put it in here. And I just want to expand this a little bit and show you what this is going to look like. So basically, we have a short video explaining the process. In this case, it's a time-lapse video of a pool being built from beginning to end. And if I fast forward this, you can kind of see the entire thing all the way to kids splashing in the pool. So stuff like this is working really well, along with, like I said, personal type images. And what this does is really convey a lot of trust. What we're going for here is quality. We're going for quality of the leads, not necessarily quantity. Okay. Once you have your creative in here, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to plug in your primary text. This is your offer. Now, your offer is going to be designed to repel and attract those ideal customers. So it's going to push away the people who are not qualified, the people who are not your ideal customers, and it's designed to attract those people coming into your business. So in here, if you offer pools in a certain area of town, then say that you offer pools in a certain area of town. If you're a family owned and operated company, say that. If you're veteran owned, say that. If you have a special deal or promo, say this, okay? If there's something that you can think of where your ideal customer is already thinking in their head, speak to that conversation that they're having inside of their head with themselves already, or maybe with their spouse, so you can address those objections and concerns in your ad copy. Next is going to be the headline. One thing that I recommend for your headline is to actually put in your starting price point. Okay, the last thing that you want to do is have people come to you thinking that they're going to get a pool build for $25,000 when your starting price point for pool building is $90,000. So, I would, by far put something in here that gets closer to that ballpark. Okay, if you start building something from, let's say, $25,000, then just say from $25,000 and above. That way you don't have unrealistic people wasting your time coming through this process. The last thing that we're going to work on is going to be the Facebook form. This is the information that people are going to submit from you, where they're going to submit it, so we can see what happens in here. So on this form, I'm just gonna try to replicate this one here so you guys can see it. What you want to do is click create form, and this is going to open up a form process that looks like this. Okay, you're going to name this accordingly, and you're going to have a few options in here to do more volume, higher intent, etc. I typically leave it at more volume because my forms do a pretty good job at filtering people out. One of the very first things that you're going to do is have custom questions in here. Okay, every form must have custom questions. That's just going to be mandatory. Okay, the more questions you ask, the better it's going to be for you. So think of this as a survey. You're surveying people to see if they qualify or they don't qualify. So you can ask for things like, when do you want your pool installed? How big is your backyard? What is your price? What is your budget? Tell me a little bit more about your project that you're looking for. When are you thinking about doing this? Have you spoken to financial counselor or somebody about whether or not you qualify for this? There's going to be a lot of things that you can ask in here that are going to make the lead quality much, much better. In addition to this, we have what's called pre-filled questions. And pre-filled questions are basically your standard type questions: names, emails, phone numbers, house addresses, zip codes, etc. You want to make sure that you can go ahead in here and add whatever you need to be able to provide a proper quote and to be able to pre-qualify these people a little bit better. One mistake that we see quite often being made is that people do not add custom questions and they just leave this pre-filled questions, and that's a big mistake because that's going to end up with lower quality leads for you. The next thing in here is going to be a private policy page. You cannot run a Facebook ad or pretty much any ad without a private policy page. So what you're going to do here is go to your website, grab the privacy policy page, and plug it in here. You're just going to put in link privacy text in here, and that's going to be it for this section here. The last section is going to be almost a thank you page. Now, at this point, a lead has submitted their information and you have their full attention. This is a great opportunity for you to automatically redirect these people to maybe a booking calendar or another place where they can pick a time to have a salesperson call them. And the other thing that you want to do in here is be mindful at the description. You got to tell them what's going to happen next. In a lot of cases, what we do is we have automations tied on the back end, and I'll show you what that looks like. But we let them know that they're going to be receiving a text to verify a few pieces of information from us, and then the follow-up happens. So once this is done and you create this form, the next thing that you're going to do is going to click this button that says publish, and this is going to go up to Facebook for review. And once they review it, the ad runs and it starts to get it in front of the right people. Now, on the back end, we have a fully automated system to instantly follow up with these leads and to respond to them and to nurture them into a conversation with you or your salesperson. Now, this is key here because if you're running any sort of Facebook ad and you do not have an automation set up to instantly reach out to people, you're going to lose like 90% of those leads. This is extremely important. It's also extremely important to continue to vet them through this process. So this is what our process looks like, and we no longer run ads for anyone unless we have automations tied in on the back end. So when a lead comes in, this tool is going to fire up a series of events that happen. The very first thing that's going to happen is that the lead is going to be added into the back end of this high-level CRM that we're using. Lead details are going to be added for you to see, for your team to see, and that's all going to happen in real time. The lead is going to instantly get a text message from us. And it depends on when the lead comes in, right? So if a lead comes in within business hours, they get a series of text messages to pre-qualify them into asking for next step and to continue that conversation. If the lead comes in after hours, the message that they receive is different, but it's also instant. But we want to handle those after hours leads differently so that they don't think that they're speaking to somebody live on the spot. One thing that is important to note here is that your team also gets a notification, your sales reps or anybody in your office, so that they can do their due diligence and automatically call these people back and book them into an estimate or whatever your sales process looks like. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of live leads in here and the type of conversations that happen. When a lead comes in and we completely follow up with them, usually we're going to get something like, hey, they are requesting for a quote. All those things that I just mentioned are happening in the background and we're engaging with them. That lead at this point usually will provide verification of their phone number and whether or not they want a quote or not. Here's another example of a lead coming in. They're looking for a quote for flooring epoxy in this case, and they're giving us their lead details because the automation is following up with them instantly, and they're giving us their phone number. They're giving us exactly where they're located in the city, and then we just reach out and have a conversation with them to see if they qualify. And here's another one that I'm going to display here. You can kind of see that they're asking for a 3-car garage, a quote on a 3-car garage. Our automations kick in. They leave their phone number and their location. And then we continue to do what we do. Now, at this point, your sales team can jump in here. They can respond to these leads through a text message. They can respond to these leads through a phone call, through email. Whatever it is that your team needs to do can be done here so that you can close more business. This screen right here just shows where all the leads typically land once we set up a system like this, and you can see the amount of leads this past month for this client that have they're in the estimate stage where estimates have been sent. You can kind of see where jobs have been scheduled, and you can kind of see where leads haven't actually worked out. So this is the kind of system that we set up, and this is what's working right now for contractors and home service companies in 2024 and beyond. So I've got links for some of these resources in the description, and if you're a home service company that is in growth mode and you're looking for somebody to run your ads for you, then we'd love to have a conversation with you about whether or not that is feasible for you and for us. There's going to be links in the description of this video that walks you through our entire process, and then you can book a call to see if it makes sense.